Okay, here we go. Whatever makes you uncomfortable is your biggest opportunity for growth. Well, that's a quote by Bryant McGill, and that's how we are going to start today's episode, everyone. Bryant Harrison McGill is an American poet, prose author, aphorist, speaker, and activist in the fields of self-development, personal freedom, and human rights. And that quote stood out to me because I'm feeling a little challenged in life today. Yet, I also know that within challenge and chaos lies opportunity. And I am trying my best to remember that this morning. And accordingly, I searched for opportunity for growth in my search engine of choice. And here we are. That is the topic of today's show on this 90th episode of the All Around Growth podcast. And this is a show where we talk about how and why we are building the lives of our dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. You can hear in the background the windshield defroster. I'm hoping that it will clear up the windshield just enough so that when I get down by the end of the road, we can actually have a little bit clearer dialogue. Now, why this topic? Why opportunity for growth? Well, life on life's terms is mildly uncomfortable for me right now, in large part because at times relationships are difficult. Now, I don't want to get into all of the gory details, and I don't even know if the individual in question listens to the show or not. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the show I'll actually decide to send this to him or not, but we'll see. But I sent somebody a message this morning, to greet them, good morning, and confirm some plans for the weekend. Now, I was greeted in turn, or when I picked up the phone, by this individual telling me how my behavior when I'm upset is upsetting for them, and this is challenging for me because I tried to explain that if the way in which I behave when I am upset is upsetting to you or others, that means that I've got some decisions to make and actions to take on my part with regard to how I behave, right? And this is the mindset that I eventually got to this morning after working out and taking a shower and sort of going about my routine. This wasn't the original topic that I was planning on talking about today, but on the other hand, I was going to talk about kombucha, right? But this was just weighing so heavily on my mind that I thought, all right, well, I can talk about kombucha and let these other thoughts dominate my mind, or I can talk about what's on my mind and, be vulnerable and, reveal some of that in the hopes that it is of some kind of benefit to someone else out there. So let's get into what I discovered when I tried to come up with some ideas that might help me process this on my own. And that's also part of, the decision to move forward with this as a show topic, because talking through things and talking about things, I'm going to have to leave this windshield defroster on a little bit longer, guys, so bear with me in the background noise. But talking through things is one way that I effectively process information and deal with challenges. Okay, so upon searching for opportunity for growth this morning, I used DuckDuckGo as a search engine. I came across a number of articles, 3 of which stood out. And if you do the same, you'll have to get to a few, you have to scroll a little bit so you can see the articles, but I linked to all 3 of them in the show notes. So if you find anything I'm about to say of any interest whatsoever, you can reference the articles yourself in the show notes and get a more in-depth analysis on what I'm talking about by reading what it is that I'm referencing, because I only have bullet points because I'm driving. So the first article that I came across, and the one which was perhaps the most relevant, or seemingly the most relevant, was one titled 9 Opportunities You Have Every Day to Grow as a Leader. And like a lot of articles, there were bullet points or headers and then a paragraph or 2, but I will read the bullet points that were expanded upon in the article. Number 1, practice patience. Number 2, recruit smart talent. Number 3, be vulnerable. Number 4, try something different. Number 5, go against your go against your conventions and your own intuition. Number 6, schedule time for rest, relaxation, and sleep. Number 7, coach others. Number 8, pay it forward. Number 9, improve your diet and fitness. Now, most of these things are really quite simple, yet most of these things we all fail at doing in some way, shape, or form. So, I am pleased to say that in many of these 9 opportunities that were outlined here, I am integrating them in my own life in my own way, as best I can. And I just realized now, almost 9 minutes into the drive, that I need to go to church instead. See, I'm incredibly distracted this morning. I gotta go to church, sign the checks. So I will simply reroute, and that's okay. So of those 9 opportunities that we have every day to grow as a leader, the ones that stood out to me the most with regard to the current context and situation that I find myself in, not just this morning, but recently, is being vulnerable, exposing myself to those I'm in relationships with, because these relationships are growing and developing and evolving just like we are as people. And as we change, so does the relationship. And in order for everyone to have the best opportunity for growth and development, I think that it's important to expose our vulnerable underbelly. You know, be vulnerable, but also not utilize that vulnerability as an excuse for not taking action or procrastinating on the actions that we know we should and ought to take. One of the second things I read, well, in addition to vulnerability, I think, you know, trying something different, going against, see, I don't even know how to go against my own conventions and my own intuition. This is hard, and I guess this is one of these areas where I might have to default to someone else, and that someone else may be the same person that I'm having a challenge with. You know, this is interesting. Life is interesting, and it's hard sometimes. Relationships aren't easy. So I do think there's something to be said for number 7, coaching others, as well as paying it forward. And I think paying it forward can be done in a number of different ways. Financially, emotionally, how we spend our time with others, right? So, but ultimately, there's a lot to be said for improving diet and fitness. This is something that I've been trying to be mindful of and work on over the past few years. I've made some significant strides in my diet. Periodically, I will indulge a little bit too much, either on, largely on carbohydrates, not so much like in alcohol, but carbohydrates in the form of beer. You know, it's not like, I don't know. So I know that when I refrain from drinking and significantly cut back, if I only have a couple drinks on a Saturday night or Friday night or something like that, I generally feel a lot better. I sleep a lot better. So it's good. I mean, I know these things, and that's why part of what I'm going to try and focus on this year is going to be some, sticking to and adhering to the scheduled abstinence and fasting that I have done in the past, and I'd like to ramp that up at any rate. As I was saying, there were several different articles that I pulled up to use as talking points for how we can see challenges in life as opportunities for growth. Now, the second one wasn't really an article so much as it was a list of 21 synonyms on a website called Power Thesaurus. Again, linked to in the show notes, but I wanted to list these, and I've got these in my notes as well because they're brief bullet points, but it's interesting to see how, when we use different words, how those different words impact our thoughts and feelings about the opportunities that lie within the challenges for immense growth that we oftentimes have a difficult time seeing when we're in the midst of that challenge. So, these are some synonyms for opportunity for growth. Growth opportunity. Opportunity to grow. Growth opportunities. Opportunities for growth. Allowed to grow. Chance to develop. Chance to grow. Chance to grow up. Chance to raise. Growth potential. Opportunity to build. Opportunity to develop. Opportunity to evolve. Opportunity to expand. Opportunity to grow up. Opportunity to increase. Possibilities for growth. Possibility of growing. Possibility to grow. Potential for growth. Potential to grow. Now, take that for what it is. I just think it's interesting to look at words, oftentimes look at the etymology of words, and look at different ways that we can use words and look at different words altogether. That's one example of what we can do. And the third article that I pulled up was an article called Why Provide Growth Opportunities for Employees. And I thought this was relevant because sometimes, especially over the past 18 to 24 months, more like 24 months now almost, I feel disenchanted with my day job. So when I see things about growth opportunities and leadership in career, I mean, while all that stuff has been of interest to me consistently over the years and decades now, it's of more interest to me because I don't experience any of that anymore, and that challenges me. And I just like to read something from that article. The potential for growth is a huge motivational factor in engagement. When you need top talent to drive your business growth, you need to look at your employment opportunities and work environment from the candidate's and employee's point of view. Is there training offered on a regular basis? Are there opportunities to earn bonuses and other financial incentives? Are there programs, policies, and practices in place to support employees' personal and professional growth and satisfaction? If you answer anything other than a resounding yes to these questions, you are not providing growth opportunities and have not and will not have the kind of magnetic employer brand needed to compete in today's employee-driven job market. Now, I've got a few extra minutes since I took I don't want to say a wrong turn, but since I actually started driving to work. Is that Melanie? Hi, Melanie. So because I took a wrong turn, I'm going to have a few extra minutes. Now, all of this is interesting, all right? And the growth opportunities for employees is interesting because, well, like I said, I just don't, and this place where I've been has never been the kind of work environment that has been based on incentive. It's a job. It's unconventional in a lot of ways. It's good in a lot of ways. It's not so good in a lot of ways. I mean, there's pros and cons just like everything else in life. And you know, I ever since a recent conversation with my father about my passion, my purpose, my why, and what I'm doing with my life, and what he's doing, and my mom, of course, but in this case, when I say what he's doing, I'll refer to both of them, but what he's doing with his. And in my own planning of my life, I took a lot of things for granted. I didn't plan or think through a lot of things in the ways that I probably ought to have thought through. And what happened is that, and I've talked about this at great length before, is I ended up spending many years chasing the dreams of other people, trying to keep up with the proverbial Joneses, following a path that was not my own, and subsequently getting into a lot of debt and making bad decisions because of all of this. And I am realizing now that it is a good thing that I did all of that. It's a good thing that I made the mistakes and failed in the way that I have, because it gives me, and it gave me, the opportunity for growth to get to where I am now, to get to where I am today. However, because I did those things and thought those things, I am now in a position where I am finding myself struggling to discover what my passion is. And I've been active on the permies.com forum, and for whatever reason I felt compelled to write. And I wrote, I've been keeping a thread. Basically, I started this when I got out of debt, this journey of sorts. Documentation of it in that forum, in addition to all the other writing I'm doing, including but not limited to my autobiography via the self-authoring program, or the self-authoring suite, selfauthoring.com. Check it out. Yeah, real quick on that. If you're a writer, that's a great structured writing program, very introspective, gives you the opportunity to unpack and uncover a lot of things in life, and it's an exercise that I highly recommend. Now, I took what I wrote and shared on permies.com yesterday, and I shared it in the 48 Days Eagles community. And Dan Miller, author of the book 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love, responded to that post with some very poignant questions, such as, well, what are you doing now to work towards your 12-month savings goal? And does the homestead now, you know, are you living off the land now? And, you know, what steps are you taking? Or I forget how he framed the last one, but it was, how is permaculture going to be a part of this in 3 years? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. And I've never really thought about questions like that. And I've never really thought about much of anything in the way that is being proposed by not only Dan, but the other Eagles within the community there at 48 Days Eagles. And that's why I'm there. I'm there to get myself out of the comfort zone, like was mentioned in, number 5 in that first article, going against your own conventions and your own intuition. I'm seeking insight from others, expanding my circles from people that I think will benefit me and will give me additional opportunities, insight to grow and develop in the ways in which I seek. It's unfortunate that when I get stressed and, for lack of a better term, act out, which is a term that we have and give to children when they do these things, but apparently I'm doing something similar, or but maybe not acting out so much, but my behavior is having a negative impact on people, and that's not fair to them. So, I guess the opportunities for growth for me are to learn how to channel that energy a little differently, so that when I am stressed and upset, dealing with life on life's terms, that it's not projected onto other people, because that's just not fair. So, all right, here we are. If you like the show, the content of the show, the things that we talk about here, there's one thing that you can do that would really help support it, and that is going to the show notes and following the link to click here to rate and review the podcast. That takes you to Apple Podcasts at this point in time, here in early February 2021. And at this point in time, that is where the algorithms are having the most impact and the most effect. So please consider going and following those links and giving us a review there online. It's very helpful, and just something that you can do that's a way of saying thanks. If you want to participate in the community that's building around the podcast, just check out Telegram, t.me/allaroundgrowth on your computer, internet browser. If you've got the Telegram Messenger app on your phone, then search for groups All Around Growth and you'll find us there. All right, everyone. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you being a part of the community. Thank you very much, and have a great day.